Nature has placed mankind under the governance of two sovereign masters, pain and pleasure. Niccolò Machiavelli. Welcome back to Surrealism. You know exactly what you need to do. The list is etched into your mind right now. You know that if you executed those tasks ruthlessly, without the internal negotiation, your life would be unrecognizable in 6 months. Wealth, strength, authority, peace. They are all right there, waiting for you to claim them. But you don't reach. Instead, you stare at the ceiling. You scroll. You tell yourself 5 more minutes. But those minutes turn into hours, and those hours turn into another wasted day. You think you are lazy. You think you lack discipline. You are wrong. You are being sabotaged by a 3-pound lump of prehistoric tissue that is not your friend. Your brain is not designed for greatness. It is designed for survival, and survival loves comfort. Today we are going to hack the hardware. We are going to learn the override method. We are going to stop fighting against evolution and start rewriting the code of your impulse control. The negotiation ends now. To understand why you are standing still while the world passes you by, you must first understand the machinery of your own betrayal. You are walking through the 21st century with an operating system that was coded in the Pleistocene, pronunciation, Pleistocene era. Understand this fundamental truth. Your brain is not a success machine, it is a survival machine. Its primary directive, honed over millions of years of brutal evolution, is the conservation of energy and the avoidance of risk. To your primitive, ancient mind, hard work does not look like growth or potential. It looks like a mortal threat to your survival. It looks like unnecessary caloric expenditure, pronunciation, caloric expenditure. Every time you attempt to do something difficult, writing that first chapter, launching that business, or pushing through a final set at the gym, your brain views it as a drain on your vital reserves. It perceives effort as a precursor to starvation. It perceives social risk as a precursor to tribal banishment and death. So, the moment you decide to pursue greatness, your brain triggers a sophisticated resistance response. It fell. Urge your system with cortisol, pronunciation, cortisol, the stress hormone, creating a thick, heavy layer of psychological friction. This is why you feel that sudden wave of fatigue the moment you open a blank document. This is why you suddenly feel the urge to clean your room or check your emails when you should be making cold calls. This isn't you being lazy in the moral sense. Is your limbic pronunciation, limbic system slamming on the brakes to keep you safe in the cave? The lizard brain prefers the certainty of the cage over the danger of the wilderness. And this is where the tragedy of the modern human begins. We are attempting to fight millions of years of evolutionary survival instinct with a fleeting modern emotion called willpower. Willpower is a finite resource. It is a battery that drains the moment you wake up. Fighting your biology with willpower is like trying to stop a tidal wave with a paper shield. It is a losing battle that leaves you exhausted, guilty, and stagnant. The modern world, however, has taken this biological flaw and weaponized it against you for profit. We live in an era of engineered, frictionless, frictionless comfort. We have optimized the world to serve the lizard brain's desire for ease. Food is delivered to your door with a single mindless tap on a screen. Entertainment is instant, infinite, and designed by psychologists to keep you in a trance. Validation, the social currency our ancestors died for, is now available through a like or a comment from a stranger. We are drowning in a sea of unearned dopamine, pronunciation, dopamine. Dopamine is the molecule of pursuit, but in the modern age, we have decoupled the reward from the effort. You get the chemical high of a win without ever having to step onto the battlefield. This has made the modern man neurologically soft. Your brain has been trained to expect the peak of the mountain without agony of the climb. When you finally face a task that requires sustained focus, mental grit, and zero immediate gratification, your brain panics. It experiences a dopamine crash and screams for the digital pacifier. It screams for the phone, for the scroll, for the distraction. anything to numb the friction of reality. This is the state of the modern human, sedated, distracted, and a consumer of life rather than a creator of it. You are living in a golden cage of your own biology, and the bars are made of cheap pleasure. But there is a flaw in this prehistoric system, a backdoor that the outliers and the sovereigns use to escape. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity, pronunciation neuroplasticity. In the laboratory of the self, we call it psychological alchemy. It is the ability to purposefully rewire the circuitry of your impulse control. The override method is not about trying harder or feeling motivated. Motivation is for amateurs. The sovereign relies on systems. The override is about reversing the polarity of your brain's internal compass. It is about teaching your lizard brain a new definition of safety. Currently, your brain thinks comfort, RT equals safety, and effort equals danger. We are going to flip that code. We are going to train your system to realize that comfort is the actual threat. Comfort is the slow, agonizing rot of the soul. Comfort is the silent killer of dynasties and the architect of regret. If you are watching this, you already feel it. The itch of mediocrity crawling on your skin like a fever, you know that. If you don't change the code, you will die full of the most expensive thing in existence, the what if. You are a lion raised by sheep, and you have forgotten how to hunt. You have become addicted to the grass because the hunt is hard and the prey is fast, but the lion does not belong in the field, he belongs on the hunt. To flip the switch and awaken the predator, we have to go dark. We have to strip away the engineered sweetness of your life. We have to introduce a level of austerity, pronunciation, austerity, that the modern world finds offensive. Because you cannot crave the fire of the grind if your belly is full of the cake of consumption. The path to the throne begins with the starvation of the lower self. It begins with the destruction of the negotiation. It begins right now. To ignite the fire of the override, you must first address the chemical sludge paralyzing your ambition. You cannot crave the jagged peak of excellence if your nervous system is drowning in the artificial sweetness of mediocrity. Imagine for a moment a man who consumes nothing but refined sugar, cake for breakfast, candy for lunch, soda for dinner. If you offer that man a raw, crisp apple, he will recoil in disgust. To him, the apple is not sweet enough. It is too fibrous, and it requires too much effort to chew. His palate has been hijacked by the extreme. He has lost the ability to perceive the value of the essential. Your brain is currently that man, and the digital world is the refined sugar. Before you can execute the sovereign will, you must restore your biological baseline. You must reset your sensitivity to the frequency of reality. This is the hard truth that the soft, modern world finds offensive. You must learn to embrace the desert of boredom. Boredom is not a defect or a mistake of the mind. It is a biological signal, a vacuum designed to be filled with the energy of creation. Niccolò Machiavelli. I understood that a leader must be the master of his own focus. He warned that he who neglects what is done for what ought to be done sooner effects his ruin than his preservation. In our ancestral past, boredom was the pressure that drove the tribe to hunt, to engineer tools, and to explore the horizon. But today, the moment a microsecond of boredom strikes, you reach for the glowy NG rectangle in your pocket. You immediately anesthetize the signal with a hit of cheap, synthetic stimulation. By doing this, you are effectively castrating your own drive. You are cutting the wires of the very engine that is supposed to propel you toward your throne. To trick your brain into choosing the hard path, you must first starve the lower self. You must cut the supply of cheap, unearned dopamine. I'm not suggesting a mere weekend detox or a temporary retreat into silence. I'm talking about a total lifestyle shift, a scorched earth policy against the distractions that keep you small. Stop the constant stream of music that accompanies every step you take. Stop the mindless consumption of content while you nourish your body. Stop the scrolling that acts as a digital sedative before you sleep. Sit with the silence until the silence begins to scream. When you remove the constant noise, the brain enters a state of high alert panic. It craves stimulation with a desperate animal hunger. And if you remain disciplined, if you refuse the phone, the poison of easy entertainment, and the junk of the mass mind, the brain will truly break. It will become so starved for a task that even the most difficult, grueling work begins to look like a feast. Niccolò Machiavelli observed that there is no other way to guard yourself against flattery than by making men understand that telling you the truth will not offend you. In the same way, you must tell yourself the brutal truth. You are a slave to comfort. Where you are truly starving. A crust of bread tastes like a banquet. When you are dopamine deprived, the act of writing a complex proposal or finishing a brutal workout feels like a thrill. You must lower the water level of your life so you can finally see the rocks that are grounding you. Ask yourself, with brutal honesty, what is your pacifier? Is it the endless cycle of news that gives you a false sense of being informed? Is it the parasocial commentary on lives you aren't living? Identify the leak and plug it with iron. This is not an act of self-punishment, it is an act of supreme resource management. Your attention is the only currency you truly possess. Every time you spend it on something that gives you nothing in return, you are stealing from your future self. Once the noise is stripped away, you will feel a new sensation, an agitation, a restless, aggressive energy. Most people misinterpret this as anxiety and run back to the phone, but the sovereign knows better. That agitation is the fuel of the override. It is the pressurized steam inside the boiler, waiting for a direction. Now that the hunger has returned, we learn the mechanics of the strike. We must learn how to destroy the gap where the cowardice of the mind takes root. We must prepare the kill switch. Now that you have cleared the chemical sludge from your system, you will feel a restless energy stirring within you. This is the raw power of your ambition returning to the surface after years of sedation. But energy without a system is merely chaos, and to harness this force, you must master the anatomy of the gap. Every time a thought of a necessary action enters your mind, there is a window of time that follows. We call this the negotiation phase. In the first microsecond, you have the impulse of the sovereign, the clear vision of what must be done, but immediately after, a second voice answers, the voice of the internal terrorist. It whispers, "I'm too tired. I'll start in 10 minutes. The timing isn't right." Niccolò Machiavelli warned that delays are dangerous, knowing that hesitation gives your weaknesses time to organize against you. That gap between the thought and the action is where dreams go to die. The longer you stay in that gap, the louder and more ration the excuses become. The brain is an exquisite architect of rationalization, and because you are intelligent, it will use your own logic against you. It will give you 1,000 sophisticated reasons why you should stay in the comfort of the cage. And because it feels like your own voice, you believe the lie and surrender your power. The override method requires you to install a psychological kill switch to end the debate. The rule is absolute. Once the thought of a necessary action enters your mind, you have exactly 3 seconds to move. Not 3 minutes, 3 seconds. If you wait for the 4th second, the limbic system wakes up and the fear center deploys its defenses. Once you start negotiating with your own laziness, the war is already lost. By moving within 3 seconds, you are executing a brilliant ambush on your own biology. You are acting before the excuses can be formulated in your conscious mind. You are bypassing the hardware of the lizard brain entirely and seizing control of the ship. You don't wait to feel like it, because feeling like it is a luxury for children and the weak. Niccolò Machiavelli noted that it is better to be adventurous than cautious, for fortune must be forced into submission. In the psychological sense, you must beat back your own hesitation with the violence of immediate action. Motion creates emotion, and the science of the brain proves that you must act to generate motivation. When you use the kill switch, you are sending a clear message to your subconscious. We do not negotiate. Every time you override the hesitation, you are physically thickening the neural pathways of your prefrontal cortex. You are strengthening the CEO of your brain and weakening the amygdala, the center of fear. At first, this will feel like an internal violent rupture because your brain will scream for the warmth of the cave. It will beg you to check notificati, ons, to wait for a better mood, to stay soft, ignore the scream and move the body with professional detachment. This is how you build a reputation with yourself, through the historical record of promises kept. True self-confidence is the byproduct of counting down 3, 2, 1, and moving regardless of fear. You are proving that you are the driver of the vehicle, not a helpless passenger. The world belongs to those who can close the gap between thought and motion with cold efficiency. Now that you have installed the kill switch, you must address the fundamental reason why you avoid the work. You avoid the struggle because your brain has labeled pain as a signal to retreat. Most people view stress as a sign that something is wrong. They feel the fricti on of a difficult task and conclude, this is hard, therefore I should not be doing it. The sovereign, however, practices pathological reframing. You must brainwash yourself to associate friction with pleasure and comfort with decay. Niccolò Machiavelli observed that where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great. But this willingness is not a gift, it is a psychological construction. Think about the weightlifter in the gym. When his muscles burn and his lungs scream for air, he does not call an ambulance. He does not flee in terror from the physical discomfort. He smiles, he leans in, and he chases the pump because he has reframed that pain as a signal of growth. He understands that the micro-tears in the muscle fibers are the ONL. Why path to superior strength? You must apply this exact same alchemy to your mental and professional life. When you sit down to work and you feel that wall of resistance, that urge to check your phone or the fog in your mind, you must visualize that feeling as mental weightlifting. That friction is the rep. That discomfort is the proof that you are currently outperforming the version of yourself from yesterday. If the task were easy, it would not be changing you, it would merely be occupying your time. The brain learns through relentless association. If you start telling yourself, I love this grind, or this is where the weakness leaves the body, you eventually trick the biological response. You are taking the thing you used to fear and making it your home. Niccolò Machiavelli knew that the man who is prepared has already won half the battle. By being prepared for the pain, by welcoming the stress as a friend, you strip it of its power to stop you. Look around at the masses of humanity. They are soft, easily broken, and incapable of sitting still for 10 minutes without a digital pacifier. They crumble at the first sign of adversity. And flee from any path that involves steep climbing. By simply enduring the friction that others run from, you are entering the top 1% of human agency. The pain is the gatekeeper. It is there to keep the pretenders and the cowards out. If the path to greatness were smooth, everyone would walk it, and the prize would be worthless. It is the sheer difficulty of the ascent that gives the summit its value. So when the mental exhaustion hits, do not look for the exit. Lean into the fire and treat it like a test of your resolve. Ask yourself, is this all the resistance my brain can offer? This shift in perspective is the ultimate override of your prehistoric hardware. You stop looking for the easy way out and start looking for the steepest way. Because you know the view is better from the top. You must become an addict of the struggle. You must learn to feel uneasy when your life becomes too comfortable, because in the silence of comfort, you are not growing, you are merely waiting for the end. Niccolò Machiavelli warned that war is not to be avoided, but is only deferred to the advantage of others. If you avoid the war with your own procrastination today, you are only handing the advantage to your future failures. The struggle is the only thing that creates the man. Reframe the friction, embrace the heat, and let the fire forge you into something untouchable. The alchemy of the mind begins the moment you stop running from the work and start running toward it. You are no longer a victim of the grind. You are the master of the flame. Habits are a powerful foundation for a life of achievement, but identity is the supreme ruler of your destiny. You will never consistently perform hard things if you still view yourself as a lazy person trying to be productive. That is a fundamental conflict of interest, and in any war between your actions and your identity will always win. If you believe deep down that you are a procrastinator, you will unconsciously sabotage your own success just to prove your internal narrative right. To trick your brain permanently, you must perform an act of psychological execution. You must kill your old self. Niccolò Machiavelli understood that to maintain power, one must often change their nature to fit the times. He noted that the man who acts always in the same way will never succeed, for the times change, and he does not. You need to adopt a new archetype, moving beyond the language of the victim and into the language of the sovereign. Stop saying, "I'm trying, I'm struggling," or "it's hard for me." These are the whispers of a servant begging for pity. Delete these phrases from your internal vocabulary and replace them with the cold language of the operator. I require, I execute, I am. You are no longer a person who is trying to work. You are a machine, an operator, a builder of worlds. When you wake up, you do not ask yourself what you want to do, because your desires are irrelevant to your mission. It does not matter how you feel. It only matters way. T is required for the objective. Does a soldier ask if he feels like going to the front lines? No, he has orders that bypass his personal comfort. Does an elite athlete ask if he feels like training in the rain? No, he has a schedule that is set in stone. You must treat your own life with the same level of professional detachment and clinical coldness. You are simultaneous. The commander and the soldier. The commander sets the plan in the clarity of the previous night, and the soldier executes it in the heat of the morning. The soldier is not permitted to have an opinion on the commander's orders. This detachment is incredibly liberating, for it removes the heavy emotional weight of decision-making. You don't have to decide, to work out, or decide. To write, the decision was already finalized by the higher version of you. You simply execute the movement. This is the state of flow that elite performers and outliers inhabit, the total absence of self-consciousness and doubt. To anchor this new identity, you must use totems and environmental triggers to train your brain like a Pavlovian subject. When you sit at your desk, wear a specific pair of headphones that signify deep work. When those headphones are on, you are the machine. You do not browse, you do not chat, you do not exist to the outside world. When you enter the gym, you wear your armor, the same hoodie, the same shoes, to signal to your biology that the hunt has begun. You are creating a mental switch that flips your brain from consumption mode to production mode. Instantly. You are training the animal part of your brain like a dog, and I say that with zero disrespect. The lizard brain needs commands, it needs structure, and it needs to know who the master is. If you do not master your own animal, it will eventually master you. Niccolò Machiavelli taught that it is much safer to be feared than loved, and you must make your lower self. Your higher self's discipline. The lower self must understand that no matter how much it screams or begs for the phone, the work will still be done. Every morning is a renewal of this contract of dominance. By adopting professional detachment, you stop being a victim of your moods. Your moods are like the weather, they change constantly, but your mission is like the mountain. It remains fixed. A mountain does not care if it is raining, and a sovereign does not care if he is tired. You are the driver of the vehicle, and the steering wheel does not ask the engine how it feels about turning. You simply turn. By killing your old soft identity, you make room for the birth of a titan. You move from the chaotic life of a wishful thinker to the structured life of an architect. The world yields to the man who knows where he is going and who has already decided he will get there. The death of the you that makes excuses is the only way to ensure the life of the you that achieves greatness. We have discussed the starvation of the brain from the poisons of cheap dopamine. Now we must discuss the cultivation of the good stuff. The chemical reward of the sovereign. The pleasure you derive from scrolling through social media or consuming mindless entertainment is hollow and corrosive. It is a synthetic high that fades in seconds, leaving behind a residue of anxiety and the bitter taste of wasted potential. But the dopamine you receive from conquering a difficult task, that is of a different quality entirely. It is distinct, resonant, and it settles deep in your bones. It is the chemical signature of serotonin, pride, and the profound satisfaction of competence. The override method is not an invitation to live a joyless monastic life of suffering. It is a strategic trade. You are trading cheap, transient pleasure for deep, lasting satisfaction. You must learn to crave the after. When you are staring at the cold shower, the blank page, or the heavy barbell, do not allow your mind to dwell on the act itself. Focus your entire vision on how you will feel 10 minutes after the task is completed. Visualize the walk back from a brutal training session where your body feels light, powerful, and earned. Visualize the closing of your laptop after 4 hours of uninterrupted deep work, the feeling of being justified in your existence. That feeling is superior to any drug ever engineered by man. It is the feeling of being an effective force in the world. Niccolò Machiavelli observed that nature has created men so that they desire everything and can obtain nothing. He knew that the human heart is never satisfied, but he also knew that the end justifies the means. In the alchemy of your mind, the end is the state of victory over your own resistance. Your brain can be trained to chase this specific payoff. This is the sovereign payoff loop: the trigger, the override, the action, and the reward. First, the trigger, the appearance of a hard thing. Second, the override, the 3-second kill switch that bypasses the negotiation. Third, the action, leaning directly into the friction and the heat of the struggle. Fourth, the reward, the deep, resonant peace of completion and the surge of true competence. If you repeat this loop enough times, your neural circuitry begins to shift its preference. Your brain starts to connect the hard thing with the deep peace that follows. Eventually, you will find yourself in a strange and powerful position. You will start to feel anxious when you aren't doing hard things. You will feel off balance and restless when you take an unearned day off. The masses around you will not understand this. They will look at your discipline and call you obsessed. They will see your early mornings and your late nights and call you a workaholic. Why will think you are punishing yourself because they cannot perceive the depth of the reward you are receiving. They don't realize that you are the only one in the room actually having fun. Because there is no fun in mediocrity, there is only a low-level hum of background misery. There is no joy in wasted potential. There is only the quiet desperation of the man who knows he is a coward. True joy is the byproduct of effort. It is the child of the struggle. Niccolò Machiavelli warned that he who is the cause of another becoming powerful is the ruin of himself. When you spend your hours watching other people's lives on a screen, you are making them powerful while you remain in ruins. Every like you give is a piece of your own power handed away for free. Saint Op making other men powerful and start building your own empire. The override method is the tool you use to ensure the soul wins every single day. It is the mechanism by which you stop being a consumer of other people's greatness and start being the architect of your own. You are training your brain to love the hunt more than the meal. And once you love the hunt, you will never go hungry again. The world yields to the man who has made the struggle his favorite game. The sovereign does not work because he has to. He works because it is the only way he knows how to feel alive. We arrive at the darkest corner of the room. The question of why any of this truly matters. Why not just live a comfortable, easy life? Why not just be average and fade away in the quiet safety of the masses? Because you know, deep in the marrow of your bones, that you are capable of monsters. Niccolò Machiavelli understood the necessity of being formidable. He warned that a man who is not feared will never be respected. A harmless man is not a good man. A harmless man is merely weak. A truly good man is a dangerous man who has his power under absolute control, doing hard things, overriding your biological cowardice. Makes you dangerous. It gives you capacity, it gives you agency, it gives you the right to occupy space in this world. When you override your brain, you are proving that you are no longer a slave to your impulses. If you cannot control what you put in your mouth, you are a slave. If you cannot control where your attention goes for 10 minutes, you are a slave. If you cannot make yourself do what you said you would do, you are a slave. And let us be honest. Slaves are never truly happy. They are only sedated, the ultimate goal of faith. override method is total sovereignty. It is about becoming the king of your own internal kingdom. There is a civil war going on inside you right now, a brutal conflict between your higher self and your lower self. The lower self uses fatigue, distraction, and fear to keep you in the cave. It wants you to remain soft, predictable, and manageable. But the higher self wants you to ascend. It wants you to burn with the intensity of a star. Every time you choose the hard path, every time you count down 3 to 2 minus 1 and move, you are feeding the higher self. You are giving it weapons. You are giving it territory. You are giving it the strength to rule. If you do this enough days in a row, the lower self begins to starve. It shrinks. It loses its voice. It becomes the servant to the master. Niccolò Machiavelli noted that fortune is the arbiter of one half of our actions, but she still leaves us to direct the other half. The override method is how you seize that other half and force it to do your bidding. Imagine the version of you that exists 5 years from now if you apply this method every single day. Imagine the skills that person has mastered, the physique they have built, the authority they project, the calmness of their mind. That person is waiting for you to stop the endless negotiation. That person is screaming at you across time to count down and move. You now have the code. You understand the biological betrayal. You know that comfort is a cage and that the pain of the struggle is the only key to the door. But understand this: knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only potential. Power is the cold, hard, clinical execution of the plan. This transmission is about to end, and when it does, silence will rush back into your room. In that silence, you will have a choice. Your brain will immediately try to serve you another distraction. It will try to keep you in the consumption loop. It will try to sedate you once again so it can return to its energy-conserving sleep. Do not let it. The moment this screen goes black, I want you to pick one hard thing you have been avoiding, and I want you to attack it. Not tomorrow, not in 5 minutes, but the very second the light fades from this screen. Use the agitation you feel right now. Use the anger. Use the hunger. Override the system. If this opened your eyes, understand that this is only what the open algorithm allows me to show. There are aspects of dark psychology and the shadow that I cannot discuss publicly without being silenced. The most powerful techniques of the human psyche exist behind the join button. If you are still here, you are not like the others. You are an outlier. Subscribe if you have. But if you want what is hidden, click the join button and step into the architect level. You will unlock exclusive, uncensored videos that dive into the deepest parts of human manipulation, the shadow work that breaks you down to build you up, and the forbidden philosophy that rules the world. Most will stay in the cage. Most will keep scrolling. That is the point. The world needs ITS servants, but it fears its sovereigns. The choice is yours. 3, 2, 1, move.